Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse today, Monday, September 9th, 2024. Now, first on the Trump docket, this is from Friday, but we're going to report it. We live tweeted the E. Jean Carroll versus Trump appeal at the Second Circuit, and no decision was made. The panel took it under advisement, and they'll be issuing something later, which we'll report as soon as it comes out. But one of the main things seemed to be that whether the Access Hollywood tape, which was allowed in, whether it was allowed in as proclivity evidence, which might cause a problem, or whether it was in the nature of a confession. That's what Robbie Kaplan argued. So we'll see what happens with that one. Later in the day, and this is news, the sentencing in the New York State criminal case was postponed from September 18th to November 26th after the election. So there's that. We're calling it Mershon punting on fourth down. Did a song to that effect that you can find also on Twitter, YouTube, all over the place. In other political news, we wrote late last night we've been waiting for a ruling. It doesn't really impact any swing state, but RFK Jr. Is trying to remain on the New York, at least his supporters, Team Kennedy, are trying to remain on the New York State ballot. And Judge Carter, who heard arguments last week that we live tweeted, put out an order late Sunday night asking for the parties, or at least the plaintiffs, to clarify whether it's a class action of voters or just a single voter. So that's due today at 12:30, and we'll hopefully it'll go into the docket, immediately thereafter. Now, to jump forward, in the Southern District today, Monday, it all begins again. There are 3 new trials, one of which is a murder trial that we're going to cover, but it's in jury selection, so it hasn't really started. The other one is, initially I wasn't that into it, now I am for some reason. A Federal Trade Commission challenge to a proposed merger of handbag accessible luxury firms, Tapestry and Capri. The firms, the brands involved, Coach, Kate Spade, and Michael Kors. And the FTC argues that it's both anti-competitive for consumers trying to buy the bags and bad for employees. And some commentators have said, wait a second, the employees making these bags are mostly outside of the country. In fact, they might be mostly in China. Who knows? They're most in Asia. That's the way it was described. And so the question becomes, the FTC's been trying to expand, which may or may not be a good thing, antitrust law to cover worker concerns. But is this limited to U.S. workers, or is it a global thing? So this is back to the Trump docket or Trump philosophy. It's kind of a MAGA question that's going to be raised up there. And we're going to be covering it, at least until the murder trial kicks off for real, and it should be interesting. I'll say this from the left, why the administration is challenging this handbag merger, and apparently has yet to actually challenge Capital One Discover, a major $35 billion proposal that directly affects consumers in the credit card space. Whatever you think, handbags and not credit cards and subprime auto loans, very strange, very strange. In any event, we're covering the murder trial. We'll get to that later in another day. Now, coming down the pike here in SDNY, somebody in the administration, New York City administration, will be showing up. That's my prediction in the Mag Court on very little notice. Maybe it'll be the NYPD. Maybe it'll be a brother of one of the guys that's selling consultants. I don't know. Nobody knows, but many houses have been raided, and we are on alert. We will be all over that one. And speaking of corruption that goes unaddressed entirely, the United Nations, an absolute cesspool of corruption. 2 convictions in the SDNY, but only of the bribers, none of the bribees, that remain working at the UN at the very top. And so does the UN investigate itself? We wrote a story on Saturday about how Antonio Guterres, the current Secretary General, who to conceal his links to the China Energy Fund Committee had Inner City Press banned, has in fact violated even one of the few rules of the UN, which is that the top investigator, the head of OIOS, the Office of Internal Oversight Services, NDI, is supposed to be a non-renewable 5-year term that's expiring in October. This is to keep them independent and not beholden to the people they're supposed to investigate. Well, he wants NDI to be extended for 2 years, that conveniently overlapping with him getting out of the building over there without even. All I can say is that if the SDNY, if you're concerned about corruption in the United States, it's fine to go after Linda Sun, it's fine to go after various columnists. The UN itself is the sinkhole. And we're going to continue. We've been banned, but we've had law firms write, and we're not going to stop. To be continued, the Inner City Press.